Hello mga kamitsu, ito po si Agent 𝗙𝗧𝗂𝗧 at welcome po sa Agent 𝗙𝗧𝗂𝗧 Vlog. So today's video, pag-usapan natin ang Philippine National ID at kung paano yan makakatulong sa atin pag nag-apply tayo ng CARLOAN. So kaya kung bago ka lang, mag-subscribe po kayo at kung luma naman kayo, mag-stay lang po kayo dahil tuloy-tuloy po ang ating mga video about Mitsubishi, lifestyle, and mga reaction. So today's video muna, pag-usapan natin ang Philippine National ID. So unang-una sa lahat, so Kamitsu, ano ba ang Philippine National ID?
Thank you, Agent 𝗙𝗧𝗂𝗧. Hi there, Kamitsu. I'm Agent Maria Cristina, your friendly assistant of Agent 𝗙𝗧𝗂𝗧, authorized vehicles consultant and accredited truck specialist of Mitsubishi Motors Philippines Corporation. Today's video, you will learn about additional identification card that will help you in applying for your car loan. Here's everything that you need to know about the National ID. In August 2018, the President signed the National ID law to streamline the National Identification System, reducing corruption, enhancing governance, and serving as a tool to keep the public safe. The Philippine Identification System, PhilSys, implementation is on the horizon, and the initial registration will begin on October 12, 2020. Now that its launch is finally set in stone, here is everything that you need to know about it. What is the National ID System? The bill that enacted a centralized identification system of Filipino citizens and residents states that the national ID system of the country will be called the Philippine Identification System, or PhilSys. It's a single ID card that can be used as proof of identification for all transactions in the country, whether it's by a government agency or a private institution. Once this is implemented, Filipinos both here and abroad, OFWs and dual citizens, will be required to register.
Paano ba gumagana ang Philippine National ID?
In this national ID system, or the PhilSys, the person should declare his or her name according to his or her birth certificate, photograph, gender, blood type, and signature. The ID will come with its unique serial number, which will be called the PhilSys number, PSN. The reference number will be issued by the Philippine Statistics Authority, PSA.
Ano-ano po ba ang mga information na ma-store dyan sa Philippine National ID?
This tamper-proof ID will be housing a smart chip that contains unique information associated with a person, like his biometrics, iris scan, facial image reception code, and many other distinguishing features. Other government-issued identification numbers such as the following will also be associated with the person's designated CRN: SSS, 𝗷𝗟𝗢𝗙, Phil, Health, passport number, voter's registration, tax identification number, TIN, driver's license number.
Sino-sino po ba ang eligible na pwedeng kumuha ng Philippine National ID?
All Filipino citizens are automatically eligible to get a national ID, including overseas Filipino workers, dual citizens residing in another country, and even resident aliens, foreigners.
How about naman po mga kamitsu, yung data privacy natin? Safe ba?
Legislators who opposed this move by the government were concerned about the safety of everyone's personal information from data leaks and other security attacks. However, 𝗙𝗟𝗦𝗘𝗡, the committee chairperson, assured the public that the only agency that will have access to the information will be the PSA. The bill made it clear that the information in the PhilSys, despite being in the safekeeping of the PSA, cannot be disclosed to any requesting agencies without the consent of the ID holder, unless it falls under the following situations. In cases of accidents or disasters, where the ID holder's medical history is needed by medical workers. When the interest of public health or safety requires the data, a court orders the data to be divulged. The bill also states that PSA, the Department of Information and Communications Technology, and the National Privacy Commission must implement measures that will guarantee the safekeeping of the information.
Ano-ano ba yung mga benepisyo na kayang ibigay ng Philippine National ID?
The benefits of a national ID system. The main goal of this ID system is to streamline transactions, lower the cost of government-related ID application, and ease inconvenience for all transactions. How does it work? 1. Streamlined information. With a single ID for everything, all the information about a citizen is associated with his or her national ID number or CRN. From the basic personal information like birthday, address, the phone number to your driving records, criminal records, and loans, a national ID system will provide access to this information to relevant agencies authorized by the person. This will not only streamline information but also transactions with the government or private organizations. 2. No need for other valid IDs. Currently, we have separate IDs for SSS, PhilHealth, 𝗙𝗍𝗍𝗂𝗓, and even for our tax and voter registration. While it makes sense to have a separate ID for each because they are after all different agencies of the government, it would be practical and more efficient if they're all associated with a single ID. Once a national ID system is in place, the government and private agencies will no longer need other IDs to verify a person's identity. Verification can already be done easily through the automated system, which will come together with the implementation of the 𝗙𝗪𝗔𝗍. From airports to banks, there's no need for you to stress about bringing several valid IDs just to get your transactions going, which is a typical scenario in the country. 3. Faster ID verification. The provision of the 𝗙𝗪𝗔𝗍 will guarantee a foolproof and highly secured process of identification, according to 𝗩𝗟𝗢𝗃𝗧 Jr., a congressman. This will be made possible with the government's initiative to gradually install biometric machines in all of its relevant agencies. Your trip to SSS, PhilHealth, 𝗙𝗍𝗍𝗂𝗓, or whatever government agency will be less of a hassle once the national ID system is in place.
Okay. Sige na nga. Ano ang mga requirements sa pagkuha ng Philippine National ID?
What are the requirements for the national ID registration? Birth certificate issued by PSA, formerly NSO, and one government-issued ID which contains the applicant's full name, photo, and signature or thumb mark, or valid Philippine passport. Unified Multi-Purpose Identification, UMID, card issued by SSS or 𝗙𝗍𝗪𝗧, or other equivalent documents approved by the PSA/block. 3. Go to a registration center near you and submit the duly accomplished 𝗙𝗪𝗔𝗍 registration form together with your documents.
Ayos pala. Saan ako pwede mag-apply?
Where to apply for a national ID? Applicants will have to visit the following offices in their region. Regional and provincial offices of the Philippine Statistics Authority, PSA, Civil Registry Office, LCRO, in each city or municipality any government service insurance system, GSIS, branch any Social Security System, SSS, branch any Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, PhilHealth, branch any 𝗙𝗍𝗍𝗂𝗓 or Home Development Mutual Fund, HDMF, branch Commission on Elections, COMELEC, local or provincial office any postal office, under PHL Post or Philippine Postal Corporation, other government agencies or 𝗙𝗪𝗓 may be assigned by the PSA. 4. Biometric information capture, which includes a front-facing photograph, fingerprints, and an iris scan. Applicants below 5 years of age are not required to have their biometrics taken, a front-facing photo would already suffice. 5. 𝗙𝗪𝗔𝗍 number, PSN, will be generated by the system for the applicant. However, if biometric and demographic information isn't unique, or found to have a duplicate, further verification will be conducted by the PSA, and the PSN will not be generated yet. 6. Once the verification is complete and a PSN has already been issued, the national ID will then be issued to the applicant.
Paano naman makaka-apekto yan sa bank transaction ko?
How will it impact your banking experience? Identification plays an important role in managing your finances through your bank account. When you pay using your credit card, establishments will ask for a valid ID before running your card to charge you. When you do a transaction in a bank, you'll need various IDs to verify your identity. With a more streamlined process of verifying a person's identity through the 𝗙𝗪𝗔𝗍, the experience will be more seamless. Number 1. Prevention against identity theft and fraud. It has been made clear that together with the national ID system, biometric machines will be installed in relevant government agencies. Also, state-of-the-art technology is used for the national ID to make sure that it cannot be replicated or used by others. The smart chip embedded in the ID will contain unique information associated with a person like his biometrics, iris scan, facial image reception code, and many other distinguishing features. This will reduce identity theft, especially when it comes to availing banking or credit products, which can have dire consequences for the victims. This security measure may not happen immediately once the PhilSys is implemented, but once the system, its infrastructure, and the technology have been fully established, people will surely reap the security benefits that come with it. Number 2. Financial inclusion for everyone. During the Summit on Financial Inclusion in the Digital Economy hosted by the ADB, according to 𝗩𝗟ci𝗂𝗧𝗂𝗧, the Inclusive Finance Advocacy Officer of Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas (BSP), one of the key barriers to financial inclusion in the country is the lack of a universal national ID, and private industry has also identified it as one of the major costs in getting people on board the financial system. Currently, BSP has a very strict policy when it comes to opening a bank account in the country. It requires at least one photo ID together with other proofs of identification. While employed individuals could easily obtain valid photo IDs such as an SSS ID or UMID, and other official documents to verify their identity, the unemployed population, on the other hand, does not have access to those. With a national ID system coming close to its implementation, it will be a lot easier for the unemployed and unbanked Filipino to start banking. As the country's ID system heads towards a streamlined and automated process, everyone will benefit from it in a number of ways. Not only will it cut the unnecessarily bureaucratic process in many public and private agencies short, but it will also make many services from the private sector more inclusive to more Filipinos. PhilSys will make day-to-day transactions of Filipinos less of a headache. So here it goes, 𝗙𝗪𝗧𝗂𝗧. If you're new with my channel, please consider to like, share, comment and subscribe to be able to notify you about Mitsubishi, lifestyle, reactions and many more. Back to you, Agent 𝗙𝗪𝗧𝗏.
Okay, thank you, wifey. So mga kamitsu, so napanood nyo na regarding sa Philippine National ID, kung ano yung kahalagaan yan, at kung paano tayo mag-apply. Kaya kung bago ka lang, mag-subscribe po kayo, at kung luma naman kayo, mag-stay po kayo dahil i-update ko yung video na yan kung paano talaga, at kung saan tayo pwede mag-apply. Dahil yan pa lang po yung mga information na nasagap ko, base yan sa mga sa mga iba't ibang saklaw ng gobyerno. So i-update ko kayo dyan. So ang tanong dito guys, kung bakit itong ginawa tong video na to about Philippine National ID, kasi unang-una yung kahalagahan, no? Remember, once na nagka-CARLOAN tayo or any financing, lalapit tayo sa kanila para mangutang, it's either bahay man yan or pera or yung ito po sa amin sa CARLOAN. So, apektado po yung identification. Kaya ako napakahigpit ng mga bangko. Kailangan nila mga valid primary ID talaga, which is yung mga SSS, yung mga 𝗙𝗚𝗃𝗧, yung mga passport, yung mga ganyan. At least ito, iisa na lang para sa lahat. So, mas kailangan yung kumuha nito, mga kamitsu, at malaking tulong ito para sa identification natin. At sa tingin ko mga kamitsu, ito na po yung inaasam-asam natin, mas lalo na yung mga kamitsu natin na nadi-deny ang kanilang CARLOAN. So ito na po yung pagkakataon. So isisingit ko na rin po yung mga bagay-bagay na kailangan natin iwasan. Yung credit card nyo, kailangan updated ang bayad. Yung home credit nyo, kailangan updated ang bayad. Kasi po nasisilip na po ng bangko yan. So kailangan nyo po yan tutukan bago po yung mag-apply. Much better na i-settle nyo na. So ngayon, kung hindi pa naman yung masisettle dahil installment naman po yan, make it sure na walang remaining balance or hindi kayo nati-delay para at least makita nila yung history na okay to, good payer to. So yan po yung iniisip ng mga bangko. And of course, sisingit ko na rin kung OFW ka, pwede po kayong mag-apply kahit nandiyan kayo abroad dahil meron naman kayong mga remittances. So yung binibigyan nyo ng remittances, yun po ang magiging principal. It's either kapatid nyo, asawa nyo, or magulang nyo. So, depende yan sa estado ng pagkatao nyo. So, ganun na lang guys. Sana nakatulong itong video na to about Philippine National ID. Napakahalaga ho yan. So, yun po yung isa sa mga makakatulong sa atin sa CARLOAN. So, kung bago ka lang, mag-subscribe po kayo, at kung luma naman kayo, mga kamitsu, mag-stay lang po kayo. Thank you.